All right, check this out. I'm going to show you how to play a game of Monopoly while you conduct your real estate operation and generate leads to convert to deals. All right, so think of a Monopoly board. That's what's in front of you right here. And our main mission is to pass go, right? And we want to collect that 200 bucks. All right. But in order to pass go, there's stages. So whenever I discovered this, it was crazy the insight and clarity that it brought me. Not only did it bring me the clarity, but also it allowed me to have the ability to train my team and get them to focus in sections that were lacking in execution, to say the least. Right. So there's only really four things that we're trying to do on the acquisition side. So the first thing is how. All right. How do I get a hold of the person who owns this property? That's literally the first question. All right. And there's a process. So think, dialers, think text messaging and direct mail and blasting, like all those things, right? Those are just marketing pieces and different ways to market so we can figure out how to get this person, how to get in touch with this person, how to have a conversation. That way we can get a lead. That way we can get a deal. All right. But what happens again though, we try to jump all the way to the end. All right. And these are actually stages. So what I'm talking about is this is stage one, stage two, and then this is stage three, and obviously stage four. And then inside of each stage, there's a process. There's things that have to be done. So it's not really like, okay, this person's in stage one, this is what I do. Like, no, there's things that inside of stage one that has to be done inside of every operation. All right. So stage one, to get the how, what we're actually trying to accomplish is give me the correct phone number. That's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to do. Now you can actually pay to skip stage one. You can pay for, like, direct mail actually gives you a lot of correct phone numbers, right? You're sending mail out and they call in and boom, you got a hold of Tim and Tim owns this property. So you skip stage one. And stage one is actually part of creating the mailing campaigns, right? And then you can pay per click, right? Or pay per lead. Pay per lead is a great example because the person you're buying that lead from or the company you're buying that lead from has already done this work and they've put it all the way into what we consider stage three. Okay. So think about that. Like, think about the processes and what all has to be done. And once you find clarity on this, you're like, oh, this is where I need to focus now. Now, this is what I need to do. And as I explain this process to, keep in mind that we're starting here at go and we go around the board. But what happens is most people, they only go around the board one time and then they got to start all over. What we want to do is go around the board and then have another one around the board on another stage and then another stage and then another stage. So now we create this compound effect where it's just stacking. All right. And as it stacks, well, now we can consistently go around the board. And don't you love my little arrow? But consistency is key, right? So now let's ask ourselves, what is the second question? So Eric, if the first question is how do we get a hold of the seller? Well, the second question is pain. All right. Do they have pain? That's what we're trying to do. So if a lead raises their hand, that's just part of it. All right. That's not a hot lead. And this is the thing that really confused me when I first started. It's like cold, warm, and hot. Right? Like, what does that mean? All right. What does a cold lead mean? Like, how do you identify a cold lead? Right? What does a warm lead identify as? Right? Like, we're trying to figure out like what exactly that is, because an experienced sales rep, like a closer, can identify these really quickly. But the reason they can identify these really quickly is because they already have 1,000 reps. However, when you're first starting out or you're trying to train a new team member, it's hard to teach them what is a cold, what is a warm, and what is a hot lead. Instead, you go through this cycle, and this cycle of them sending up cold leads into the hot, and now all of a sudden you're wasting your time because they didn't disqualify. So as soon as we check off the box, how do we contact them? And then we want to disqualify them from being in stage 4, right? So that's the key. We want to disqualify in order for them to move up into our operation. So the first thing we're looking for is pain. All right. Well, after we identified pain, and pain is in stage 2. All right. After we identified pain, now what we're looking for is motivation. All right. Now, what is the motivation? So that's stage 3. And in each one of these stages, there's different aspects of it, right? So, for instance, in stage 2, we identified 4 conversation types. Now it is super simple because in stage 2, they look at it, my team, and they'll be like, okay, this person's a 90-day follow up, and then this person's a 60-day follow up, and they're a 60-day follow up because we had this type of conversation, right? And then in stage 3, it's very similar, but there's only 3 types of conversations that we identified, and it's a 30-day follow up, 10-day follow up, and a 3-day follow up, right? And you just click a button, boom, follows up, right? That's how easy stage 2 and 3 is. And again, the skill level to do this, obviously the skill level in stage 2 is pretty low. And then in stage 3, we got to teach a little bit more probing questions, qualifying questions. And then we move into stage 4. Now, stage 4, what we're trying to do is get a payday. But paydays aren't as simple as, oh, I got a lead, oh, I got a contract, boom, like, let's go. In order to get that consistent travel, that consistent path all the way around the board, we have to understand that stage 4 is actually broken up into 3 stages or 3 phases. We call them phases. So the first phase is like a quick and dirty. All right, don't spend 2-3 hours underwriting a property. All right, like 5 minutes, 2 minutes max, right? Like not long at all. And then we want to get consistent offers out, and then we want to get escrow opened up. All right. And then as we do this consistently, now again, my point with this message is like it's right behind one another, right behind one another. Okay. So as that happens over and over again, you'll start to see like your whole operation start to stack. Right. And that's what we want to experience. So in stage 4, the main thing we're looking for is how many offers are we getting out the door a day, right? Or even a week, if you don't have that many leads. But again, with stage 4, which stages are you spending most of your time in? And then can you pay to speed it up? So for instance, like stage 3, well, I mean, you could do pay per lead, right? And now all of a sudden you're stacking these leads up. And as these leads get stacked up, like you're literally skipping these 2 steps, right? You don't have to do stage 1, stage 2. But it costs money to do pay per lead, right? Pay per click. Pay per click, actually skips stage 3 and like, boom, you're here. Like you're looking at quick and dirty. Like they're ready to go. They literally just, clicked your ad, called you or submitted a form, and then boom, you're on the phone with them and you already know that they're ready to move or at least have a lot of interest in moving. So like that's straight into stage 4. Hopefully this makes sense to you. But again, the goal is to treat your operation like a monopoly game. All right. You can't focus on just one stage individually. Our entire goal is to get over here to Boardwalk and Park Place, right? Right here, opening up escrow. And then even after you open up escrow, like again, there's conversations, right? There's lead nurture to make sure that that seller actually closes, actually shows up at closing, because a lot of them don't, right? Or you have issues or things come up during title search. So there's a process for all of that. So anyway, that's the game of Monopoly. Again, you look at this board, there's stages in each one of these. And even right here, there's, you know, a stage in stage one, or phases in stage one. So hopefully this gave you more insight, more clarity. Let me know. I would love to get some feedback on what you think about this concept, because it's definitely changing the game for us. And yeah, stay blessed by the best.